Good morning. My name is Valerie Leonard. I am the founder of Nonprofit Utopia. I want to say welcome to everyone. And if you're out in the audience right now, if you could take a moment to post your name in the chat room, let us know who you are, where you're from, any ethical dilemmas that you might have encountered, hopefully in a helpful way, right? And we are talking about ethics for the month of for the month of June in the nonprofit Utopia community. Today, we're going to be talking about nonprofit ethics and social responsibility. As you may or may not know, when we speak of ethics, we're generally speaking about, you know, what's right, what's wrong, and even that can be, in the eyes of the beholder, different people have different moral compasses. And that usually involves a system, right? Or set of policies and procedures. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about the branch that focuses on social responsibility. And usually, when we think of social responsibility, we tend to think of something nebulous that a corporation might do to feel good about what they do in the community. And that's only part of it. When we focus on social responsibility, we are looking at a broader definition and looking at the responsibility that we as individuals might have, corporations might have, and increasingly nonprofits may have to making the world a better place. And really, by definition, nonprofits are created to make the world a better place, but we tend to not necessarily think about them the same way as we do, say, a Coca-Cola when it comes to corporate responsibility. But nonprofits, as you know, do have corporate responsibility. And a very good example of looking at corporate social responsibility as well as nonprofit social responsibility all wrapped in one. And Michael Pink, forgive me if I'm making you cringe. I know you're a lawyer and words matter, right?
I'm
So
not a lawyer.
you're
Not a
not a
lawyer.
lawyer. You
No.
just played one on TV. You seem to be. You gave me the impression, not that you intended to mislead me, but just your level of knowledge is very, very deep.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, but at any rate, we're going to be talking about investing in communities. And Michael Pink is the founder of Map Real Estate, and he's the co-founder of Investing in Communities. And together, they have come up with a way to combine corporate social responsibility and nonprofit social responsibility through real estate transactions. And Michael Pink, I mean, he has really discovered some really innovative, creative ways of using real estate to help investors around the country and probably theoretically around the world if they wanted to invest in community through simple real estate transactions. So, without further ado, I want to introduce you to Michael Pink. He's the founder of Map Real Estate and co-founder of I'm sorry, of Investing in Communities. All right, so thank you, Mike. Um, it's a pleasure to have you, and we'd love to hear more about you and how you came to be in this space.
Thank you, Valerie. It is my great pleasure to be here this morning with you and your audience to discuss this important concept of social responsibility. But I'd like, if I may, to rotate the discussion just slightly
Hmm.
so that we're very clearly talking about social responsibility from the perspective of consumers.
Hmm.
And the first thing that I'd like to say is that generally speaking, when a consumer decides to buy or sell a product from a company, they can attempt to identify a company or a professional from whom they can buy the product or service because that company is a social enterprise. It wants to make money, but it also wants to do something good for the world.
Hmm.
Our way of shifting this around a little bit is to empower the consumer, both individuals and companies, to be the force that causes the commercial transaction to have the social benefit, regardless of whether or not the company that they're doing business with has any interest in philanthropy, social benefit, social responsibility. So it's a very different approach. And I just wanted to set that sort of boundary to clarify for your listeners what we'll now be discussing.
Okay.
Uh, MAP Real Estate is the name of the for-profit company that my business partner, who happens to be my wife now of nearly 35 years, later this month, it will be 35 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Sharon and I wanted to be in business in a different way. And we came to that realization when our small company was 9 years old. I started it in 1985. And we decided that we wanted to know without any question that every effort that we expended to benefit ourselves would also benefit others. And because we are in a licensed profession, if we were going to do something as part of our business life, it had to be what is called License Act compliant. Because as real estate licensees in Illinois, we are governed by the dictates of the Illinois License Act. And we had the idea that perhaps we could do good and do business at the same time. In fact, one of our service marks is doing business, doing good. But I must admit that in 1995, I knew nothing at all about social enterprise. I had not considered it ever, didn't know the term. And it wasn't clear to Sharon and me that it was even seemly or polite or appropriate to mix doing business and doing good. I want you and your audience to know that I have become very clear on this thought, and I am convinced that the best way to do the most business and the most good is by doing business, doing good. Because if business itself, if commercial transactions can become a force for support of the social sector, wouldn't that be a win for everyone? And
Yes.
the way we have created Investing in Communities, which is the name of our nonprofit arm, it's a separate organization from MAP Real Estate. It is an Illinois nonprofit corporation. MAP Real Estate and Investing in Communities are both social enterprises for reasons that will become clear as we speak. But what I'm talking about is a way for consumers to make decisions that will not cost them any more money when they buy the product or service. And still, the consumer will be able to satisfy their own need for their family or for their company, because Investing in Communities works both for individuals and companies. And they'll be able to do this at no expense to themselves. So the ethical issue that I'd like to raise early in our talk is this. If it were possible to buy or sell a piece of real estate while at the same time helping the world, and it would not cost you any more to buy the property and it would not get you any less when you sell the property, do we have an ethical obligation to do business this way? I think that we do. Now, I'm not saying that people have an ethical obligation to reach into their wallet and give to a charity or school money that they might need for their mortgage or for their breakfast cereal, for their health insurance, or for any other regular need. But what if the consumer could benefit a charity or school of their choice just by buying or selling the home that they're going to buy or sell anyway, using just about any real estate agent they would like to choose, and that consumer would be able to provide meaningful support for a charity or school of their choice? That's the question.
Hmm, that's awesome. And then just going back also to, the concept of social enterprise. You are a B Corp, and can you explain some of the differences between a B Corp and other social enterprise structures? Just for
Sure. Yeah, let me try to do that, Valerie, but I want everyone to know I'm not I haven't studied this other than in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So about 10 or 15 years ago, there began to be a movement that was visible in the form of legislation that had been enacted in a number of states. I think that now around half of the states have what is called benefit corporation legislation. A benefit corporation is a corporation that has woven into its corporate structure its social mission, whatever it might be. And the reason for doing this was, among other things, so that it would be okay for a company to spend some of its profit benefiting the world instead of benefiting its shareholders. And so that if the company was sold, the new owner could not remove the social commitment without dissolving the company.
Mm-hmm.
That's benefit corporation. MAP Real Estate has achieved the status of being what is called a certified B corporation. This is an achievement that has been earned by just a little bit more than 5,000 companies on the planet Earth.
Wow.
Some of them are publicly traded. At least one of them is publicly traded now. Most are much smaller than a publicly traded company would be. They can be B2B, B2C. They can sell products. They can sell services. MAP Real Estate is a certified B corporation because we achieved much higher than just the minimum necessary score on a very, very in-depth, detailed, laborious examination of everything about how we do business.
Mm-hmm.
And we're very proud to have earned that distinction.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And as a segue to, to bring us back to the discussion of ethics, what were some of the ethical considerations you had to confront, when you started business as a for-profit business and then you wanted to invest in communities? You touched on that a little bit, but if you can go into a little bit more detail.
Sure. Well, so the whole profession of real estate brokerage, whether residential or commercial, is conducted around the professional code of ethics. This is something that real estate licensees learn about in the initial educational coursework to get our licenses. It's something that we are reminded of as we review every 2 years to renew our license. It's all about something called fiduciary duty.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot tell you how seriously I take the obligation to discharge my fiduciary duty. It isn't just the right thing to do to keep my license, it's the right thing to do to keep my humanity.
Mm-hmm.
If I say to a client, I am representing your interests, not my own, not anyone else's, I really mean it, and that's what I do. Then there is investing in communities as a business practice, which is what I alluded to a little while ago when I said that when MAP Real Estate was 9 years old, Sharon and I decided that we wanted to be in business in a different way. And we began as a central part of our business, a charitable practice of making available to most of our clients 10% of the commission that we were paid by the building owner where they signed a lease that we had negotiated. Our clients do not pay our commission.
Mhm.
And over time, it became true for Sharon and me that this was the way we wanted to be in business categorically. And so in 2010, we began to make it a rule with every transaction that we would extend an invitation to our client to choose the charity or school to receive 10% of our commission. And many times our for-profit client has said to us, we understand what you are building, and we would like you to use these funds yourself to assist investing in communities in growing and paying its bills. When MAP Real Estate has represented a nonprofit as its client, we always allow that client to choose itself to receive the funding.
Mhm.
And finally, on our road of discovery, we realized that we could, and then we thought we should, attempt to achieve certified B Corporation status, and we succeeded. So that really is what I can tell you about ethics.
Okay. Awesome. So just to be clear, can you help us understand the relationship between MAP real estate and investing in communities?
Sure. Um, MAP Real Estate is a for-profit company
Mhm.
that maybe invented the concept in 1995 of client-directed, broker-funded philanthropy. We then realized that we could do much more for the world if we separated investing in communities from MAP Real Estate. And so we created the separate nonprofit corporation. Investing in communities actually is two nonprofits. One is taxable, the other is what's called a 501c3. And they operate together under the umbrella of investing in communities. But it is a completely separate enterprise from MAP Real Estate. It just happens to be that Sharon and I run both of them.
Mhm.
But investing in communities long, long ago stopped being a way for MAP Real Estate to get new business. And it became a way for consumers across the United States, both individuals and companies. This is a free resource available to all of them with which they can choose any agent they want in the state where they would like their transaction to occur. And we empower that individual or corporate consumer also to choose a charity or school to which we will give typically just a little less than 1/5 of the commission that will be paid to virtually any agent they choose. And remarkably, we have removed the need for agent generosity from this equation. That's what I meant when at the beginning of this morning's talk, Valerie, I said that we have created something that empowers the consumer to turn their own transaction into, in effect, a social enterprise, whether or not the participating agent or brokerage company has any interest in being generous. In fact, and I really want to stress this, we understand that the prime concern of anyone looking to have a brokered real estate transaction is to have the most successful transaction that they can have for their benefit. So we do not make any effort to find agents that are generous. We make every effort to find agents that are an exact match between their professional expertise and what each consumer that asks for our assistance is trying to accomplish. I'm talking about specializing in the type of property that the consumer wants to buy or sell, the price range, even the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's investing in communities together with the consumer that causes the philanthropy to happen. The participating agents, and I can call any of the roughly 2 million agents in the country,
Mm-hmm.
and they will tell me, I'm eager to participate. The agents are doing nothing generous. They are simply paying a market typical referral fee, which we then give to the charity or school of the consumer's choice.
Okay. Now, what if the consumer opts not to give?
Well, the consumer is not making a choice really to give. The consumer is making a choice to use investing in communities so that at no expense to that consumer,
Mm-hmm.
a charity or school will receive unrestricted funding that would otherwise not occur.
Okay.
So
Now, okay,
it,
is there a tax benefit to them participating?
no, it's tax neutral.
Oh,
If
okay.
you are a buyer or a seller, whether you're an individual or a company, and you use investing in communities to power your passion so that you can have what we call a deal that makes a difference, tax neutral. There's no tax deduction, there's no write-off, there's no nothing. For the agent and the brokerage company that the agent works for, that you as our user choose, they don't have a charitable deduction, they have a business deduction, which
Hmm.
is the best type of deduction because it's good for federal taxes and state taxes.
Awesome.
For the recipient nonprofit, it's also tax neutral because of the more than $700,000 that we have so far distributed, the IRS has considered all of them, all of the dollars distributed, to be a simple charitable contribution, not susceptible to a technical thing called unrelated business income tax.
Hmm. So that's interesting. So when the IRS looks at this transaction, they're not necessarily saying, they're not giving an opinion as to whether or not it is tax exempt. They're looking at it uh, to be clear that it doesn't qualify for unrelated business income. Is that what you're?
From the perspective of the recipient charity or school,
Hmm.
it is not considered by the IRS to be unrelated business income. That's a technical term. And even 501c3s have to pay the IRS tax called unrelated business income tax on unrelated business income. But for the buyer or the seller, there is absolutely no tax consequence associated with them using investing in communities to be referred to an agent of their choice. And for the agents and the agents' brokerage companies, the tax significance is the best type because it is a straight business deduction for the payment of a referral fee.
Okay, got it, got it. All right. So as individuals, we can benefit, right? And then as
Yeah.
corporations, we can benefit.
Yes, and I use the wording universal power tool
Okay.
because we place in the hands of our user, whether our user is an individual or a company, we place in their hands the power to direct us to send the distribution from their deal that made a difference to a charity or school of their choice. We have just very minor limitations that I would like to make clear.
Hmm.
At present, we will not make a distribution to a place of worship, and we have been struggling with that conceptual question actually for quite a long time. I would like to think that we're getting near to a resolution, but it remains the case that we will not make a distribution to a place of worship. And this may offend some people in the viewing audience, but if and when someone says to us that we would like to support, and I always use this fictional example, the made up organization Skinheads of Northeastern Illinois, we will tell that consumer that they will not be able to use investing in communities to benefit such an organization. But otherwise, if you are a 501c3, if you are in good standing with the IRS and with your Secretary of State, and you have a mission that does just about anything good on the planet, we would like to give you investing in communities as our gift for free. And we will help you use this.
Okay, so how does this work? I'm an individual, I'm in the market for selling a house. How do I use your services?
I'm going to raise a couple of household names to put your listeners into the right context for understanding investing in communities.
Mm-hmm.
Most people have heard of Zillow or Trulia.
Right.
Those very large companies operate very costly websites to provide eye candy to people who are interested in surfing the web in connection with their interest in buying or selling a home. When you find an agent on one of those websites, that agent is paying a fee to Zillow or Trulia.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, anyone can come to investing in communities and use a very simple web form that takes less than 60 seconds to fill out and is free.
Mm-hmm.
You would tell us, are you an individual or a company? Because then that will change the rest of the form appropriately. So if you're an individual, you would tell us, I'm buying or I'm selling, or maybe I'm buying and I'm selling. You then tell us how many bedrooms and bathrooms, what city and what neighborhood if you're selling, what neighborhoods if you're buying are you interested in. On that web form, you pick the charity or school that you would like the funding to go to. If your choice is not yet aware of investing in communities, they can submit their free application. And you will also tell us on that web form if there's an agent that you know whose services you would consider using. It could be a friend of yours from the Navy or from the knitting club. It could be an agent that you used in the past or that a friend of yours used. It doesn't matter to us. The fact that an agent knows a consumer does not obligate that consumer to use that agent. Believe me, I've been an agent for more than 35 years and I've learned that's how the world works. So if you tell us the name of an agent, that's who we will contact on your behalf. Otherwise, we will find typically 3 agents that specialize in the type of property, the price range, and the neighborhood, and we will ask them what has proven to be a rhetorical question. And that is, would you like a referral? To which the response is always, yes, I would love to have a referral. And then we know the next question is, what do you typically pay brokers? And residential agents, especially more often than not, tell us that they're very happy and typically pay a 25% referral fee. So then what happens is that the consumer knows that we have identified these agents, not because they're generous, but because they do exactly what that consumer wants to do, and they have good experience. Mm-hmm. And the consumer also knows that we already have in writing that the brokerage company of the agent they choose will remit a referral fee to Investing in Communities if the purchase or sale transaction goes through. So we will assist consumers by finding appropriate agents if they ask us to, or by making the arrangements with an agent they already know. The only requirement for using Investing in Communities is that you come to us to mix this into your recipe before you have made a commitment to a real estate agent.
Mhm.
Because Investing in Communities is powered not by agent generosity, it's powered by competition among real estate agents, which seems to be structural to the industry and the profession, and I do not expect to go away anytime soon.
Okay. And if I were a nonprofit, how could I benefit? If I came to you directly.
Well, so if MAP Real Estate were chosen to be your broker, you would know that it's going to be an Investing in Communities transaction because every one of ours is.
Mhm.
If you are a nonprofit not in Illinois where we are licensed, you can use Investing in Communities just as anyone can. You can come to us and tell us, what kind of real estate are you looking for? Because again, it works whether it's commercial real estate or residential. And we will find agents that specialize in exactly what you're trying to accomplish.
Mhm.
We will enter into the referral fee agreement with them, and you will get the referral fee. But the bigger picture, the bigger opportunity for nonprofits to benefit from using Investing in Communities is to become an engaged member.
Mhm.
Because Investing in Communities is what's called a capacity building resource. That's nonprofit jargon.
Mhm.
It can expand, more nonprofit jargon, the development resources, the fundraising resources of virtually any nonprofit that has either employees, volunteers, individual and or corporate supporters, or a charity or school that benefits people, because members of the family of the people that benefited by the activity of the charity or school could use Investing in Communities to raise funds for free for the charity or school.
Okay, so
So,
yeah, you mentioned the best way that nonprofits can benefit is to become engaged members. How do they become engaged members, and what does that really look like? Is
well,
there a network that's actively meeting?
no, we have not organized that. Investing in Communities has so far been a self-funded, bootstrapped endeavor,
Mhm.
and we have really gone out of our way to get the money into the hands of the nonprofits and schools, not into the hands of everything that it takes to build a big organization. But the process for becoming a member is very simple. Then the critical issue is, will you actually be an engaged member?
Mhm.
And we can lead the horse to water, but we cannot make the horse drink the water.
Okay.
So we are constantly working on improvements to the system, the user experience, the resources that we make available to our nonprofit and for-profit members. There's a simple membership application, and there's a spectrum on which each organization can choose the level of its involvement. And
Mhm.
depending upon the level that your organization chooses, we will then allocate additional resources of ours to assist you in making this a productive development resource for you. Valerie, may I speak to the audience a little bit about why we would like companies to be members of Investing in Communities?
Oh, yes, by all means. Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. So remember that Investing in Communities has been created and is growing within the world of social enterprise.
Hmm.
Well, when you think of individuals who care, these are the people I think that work for, volunteer, donate to, and benefit from what schools and charities do. Think of those individuals who care in a slightly different way. Think of them as consumers who care. And we would like to promote the idea of being a consumer who cares.
Hmm.
And one of the ways that we can do that at Investing in Communities is to recognize what companies might be doing that falls under the heading of doing business, doing good.
Hmm.
So if you have a company that not only has a profit motive, but you also have a social purpose, we would like you to become our member. And we would like to help raise the visibility that your company has for doing business, doing good.
Hmm.
And we would like all of the supporters and all of the individuals who care about nonprofits and schools, we would like them to learn about the companies from which they can buy products or services and at the same time satisfy a need that they have while doing good in the world. And it doesn't cost them any more to do that.
Okay, so what does membership look like?
Well, when you are a member of Investing in Communities, whether you're a company member or a nonprofit member, you get a profile listing in a searchable directory. When you click on the profile, it can blow up into a dedicated web page. This is a landing page with a unique URL. And
Okay.
there are a variety of things that we can do to drive attention and traffic to your nonprofits or your company's dedicated landing page at Investing in Communities. And depending upon the level of engagement that you choose, that's when you will get either the profile listing and or the dedicated landing page and much, much more than that potentially from us in terms of resources that we will dedicate to promoting your involvement.
Okay, awesome. And then getting back to nonprofits, if you are a board member and you wanted to, I guess, have your nonprofit get involved with either MAP or I or investing in communities, what might you do?
Well, thank you for asking that, Valerie. You may visit Investing in Communities and begin the process of your organization applying.
Hmm.
You may contact MAP Real Estate. I'm very happy for people to contact me in whatever way is easiest for them. They can visit our website and submit an inquiry at either website through a web form that we have. They can they can connect with me on LinkedIn. They can send me an email directly. They can call me.
Hmm. What what's the website for investing in communities?
It is IICONLINE.org. That's IIConline.org.
All righty, I'm going to flash that on the screen.
Thanks. And the website for MAP Real Estate is MAPREALESTATE.com. That's maprealestate.com. Valerie, may I mention how much money might be raised if someone is selling a typical or buying a typical home?
Yes, please do.
So the median home price in the United States is now approximately $350,000. If you are either the buyer or the seller, and you come to investing in communities before you commit to an agent, even one you already know, we can empower you to direct to the charity or school of your choice, typically $1,600, and it is totally free to you as the buyer or seller.
Wow. That's awesome.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
So let's talk about some of the success stories. Can you share a few success stories?
Sure. If I may, I'd like to start with MAP Real Estate, and I can give you easily 3 examples of how this has worked.
Mhm.
Um, MAP Real Estate represents the corporate office tenant, whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit. We have handled nearly 1,000 client projects. Here are just 3 of them. The law firm Eckhart Kolak occupied office space in what used to be called the Xerox building, 55 West Monroe. They had been in their space for 10 years. It was a relatively small space, about 4,200 feet. They renewed their lease, and a charity in the state of Maine called the Kennebec Estuary Land Trust received $6,905 of unrestricted funding, and it did not cost the law firm a penny.
Wow.
When Associated Publications, which is a hairstyle magazine publishing company with multiple titles, it renewed its office lease in the John Hancock building.
Mhm.
They occupied about 4,000 feet, and the organization Pets Are Worth Saving Chicago got nearly $5,000. That paid for a lot of dogs and cats to be spayed and neutered. It did not cost Associated Publications a penny, and the board of Paws Chicago is represented in part by one of the owners of Associated Publications.
Okay.
And when the law firm Minor, Barnhill, and Galland, by the way, President Obama worked there before he became president, Minor, Barnhill, and Galland leased a little over 8,000 feet in the building that it's the beautiful red vintage brick building that used to be the traffic court on the river.
Mhm.
And they chose 2 nonprofits in Chicago to receive $5,000 and $4,000 respectively. And they paid nothing at all for the philanthropy.
Wow.
Examples of some nonprofits that have benefited as a result of their own real estate transactions. Smart Love Family Services used investing in communities to be referred to a specialist broker. And as a result of investing in communities, giving the referral fee to Smart Love, that nonprofit got nearly $6,000. By buying the building they wanted anyway,
Mhm.
they paid nothing to get the additional funding. Prime
Wow.
Care Community Health has received over $30,000. The Shriver Center has received over $35,000. Family Defense Center has received thousands of dollars. It now has become an organization whose name has changed to Ascend Justice.
Mhm.
So uh,
Mm.
we have been doing this for a long time, and we have only begun to barely scratch the surface of what's possible.
Wow, this is amazing. So, if you're a nonprofit and you're using your service, a nonprofit can effectively reduce their transaction costs, right? If they elect to use themselves.
Well, no, because there is no transaction cost for the nonprofit.
Ah,
MAP Real Estate only represents the corporate tenant or the corporate buyer.
got it.
And your listeners will be familiar with residential real estate, in which you as the home buyer can be represented by an agent. That would be called your buyer agent or buyer broker. They have a fiduciary duty to represent you and only you, and yet it's the seller that pays their commission. So in MAP Real Estate's case, it's the landlord or the building owner that pays our commission. Our clients have never paid our commission, and then we give to the client at least 10% of whatever commission we earned.
Wow,
That's how we do business.
that's exciting. And you started this when?
Well, I started MAP Real Estate in 1986, and beginning then, our clients never paid for our professional services.
Wow.
But in 1995, we began an experiment to see what will this be like if we try to mix doing business with doing good.
Mm-hmm.
And so for 26, going on 27 years, we have been trying to figure out how to do this and how to do it in a way that will have the greatest positive impact for the world. And that's why we created the nonprofit, and that's what we want to scale.
That's amazing. You guys were
Thank you.
years ahead of your time. You're still ahead of the curve for an
Thank
idea
you.
that started in 1990 in the 1990s. That's amazing.
Thanks, Valerie.
Yeah. So, what are some of the lessons you've learned along the way?
Well, I learned to be open,
Hmm.
try to be nimble, be open to new ideas, be open to revising how you're doing things.
Hmm.
Um, I know that there is a growing need that will never lessen for charities and schools to receive support. I know there is a growing desire on the part of people to give that support. We have invented a way that they can do that at no expense, but what we don't know yet is how we can communicate the right words to the right people at the right time. And here's the important part: have them hold it in mind until later that year or years later, when they will have an opportunity to buy or sell a property or to lease commercial property. That's the trick.
Hmm.
And we're working to figure that one out too.
Okay. Yeah, we got a comment from one of the members of Nonprofit Utopia, James Ralston Davis. This presentation is excellent. I have already reached out to the MAP Real Estate Company to learn more. And James is from Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. It's
Ah,
going to be getting pretty hot in Florida, I think. You might want to come up here to Chicago for a while.
yeah. So you can enjoy our 102 degrees. Oh my goodness. And what are some of the challenges you might have had along the way to bring your model to scale?
Well, Valerie, the biggest challenge is that the whole world has absolutely not a clue that it's even possible to do what we're doing in the world of brokered real estate transactions. They don't know that this is even a vague possibility.
Right.
And if I had gone to business school, I'm pretty sure I would have learned that bringing something totally new to market is harder than bringing an improved product or service to market.
Mhm.
So the first thing we have to do is to communicate why it's even possible for this to exist. For example, people are ignorant of what goes on in the world of real estate brokerage. And that's why, if you'll forgive the analogy, that's why the movie The Wizard of Oz was made, because nobody knew what was going on behind the curtain.
Mhm.
Well, just like Dorothy, and forgive me, I know that I have a gray beard, but I'm acting a little bit like Dorothy. We are pulling back the curtain to
Mhm.
show the world that within residential and commercial real estate brokerage, the payment of referral fees by one brokerage company to another brokerage company is a common occurrence.
Mhm.
It is reality, but people don't know this yet, that particularly within the residential sector of real estate brokerage, agents are offering their services at a perpetual discount. And we have learned that that discount typically is 25% of the commission. And the agents are offering that discount 24/7, 365, but it can only be paid to other agents. And that gets us back to the License Act in each state, which dictates that referral fees can only be paid by one brokerage company to another brokerage company. The world that we are trying to create, Valerie, is a world that's only a little bit different from the world of today. Today, many, many times, real estate brokerage companies pay referral fees for a brokerage opportunity. The world I want is one in which every single real estate brokerage opportunity would involve the payment of a referral fee, and that money, for the first time ever, will be support for charities and schools around the nation. And it'll never go out of style. It'll keep building and building. Each year in the United States, roughly $60 billion are
Wow.
paid to my profession in residential and commercial real estate brokerage commissions.
Wow.
In theory, investing in communities could cause 10% of that, 15% of that to become unrestricted funding for charities and schools around the country year after year after year. And it has been suggested to us by people formerly associated with the National Association of Realtors at the highest level. I'm talking about the presidents of the association.
Wow.
It's been suggested to us that the investing communities model should prove valid in about 70 countries.
Wow.
So think of this.
Amazing.
Imagine a thought bubble rising up like a cloud above every rooftop in the United States.
Mhm.
And it would be a discussion maybe between the parents and the kids, maybe between the heads of the companies and the employees of the companies, about what cause and what nonprofits they will support at no expense, simply by organizing their respective real estate transactions in the IIC way.
Mhm.
That's what I see. That's what I would like everyone to picture.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had a slight interruption. But
It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah, that is awesome. All right, so I'm asking our audience if you have any questions, any comments, to please share them. We're winding down. We have a wonderful discussion. going on. So if you have any questions of Michael Pink, please feel free to post. If you have any experience in real estate, if you have any experience with ethics, that could be guiding the ethics of your organization. If you have observed some ethical challenges, but most importantly, the reason we're here is to talk about the social responsibility aspects, and we're using MAP Real Estate as an example, a very practical example of how we can focus on social responsibility, looking at ways that nonprofits can exercise social responsibility, individuals as well as corporations. All right, Michael, before we go, do you have any closing thoughts?
Stay well, everybody. Get your vaccinations, get your boosters, please.
Indeed. Yes, we want to enjoy the summer. We really do, really do. All righty. So without further ado, I don't see any other questions or comments. I want to say thank you to everyone who's taken the time out of your busy schedule to attend. Edward, you're probably not here, but I just want to share your comment, to let you know that Edward was here, and he's starting his own nonprofit organization. He thought he could learn from us, and perhaps at some point he might, uh, his organization might be able to take advantage of your services.
Yes.
And then another Facebook user indicated that Wanda Taylor, who is a Facebook friend of mine, steered her my way. And then James Davis again. His question is, can this work for an REO?
James, if by REO you mean a real estate asset that has been repossessed by a lender, I will tell you that the model works anytime anyone, any individual or company has the power to place a brokerage assignment. So to the extent that the REO asset is going to be sold through the services of a real estate agent, then the answer is categorically yes. The IIC model can work with REO dispositions.
Okay, so James, does that answer your question? And we'll give you 30 seconds to respond before we go off the air.
James, you're welcome to contact me offline if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, and I was going to ask you, how can we contact you in the future?
So my email is mp@maprealestate.com and mp@iiconline.org.
All righty. It doesn't look like we're going to hear back from James. So I just wanted to say thank you again, Michael, for joining us. We definitely learned a whole lot.
Thank you, Valerie.
And just know that, James is one of our most engaged members. And he said he already has filled out a form to contact you. So I'm sure you guys are going to have some wonderful conversations.
Great. This has been a great pleasure for me. Thank you very much, Valerie.
All right. And for everyone, thank you much for tuning in. You take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.